pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Buns,
Present.
Lawson,
Here.
Wyatt,
Here.
Reister, and Sewell are absent, excused absent.
Okay, have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? A motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Committee reports and recommendations. Public Works Committee. Jeff, looks like you get it again.
I just will get this down pat. So, Public Works, we met Wednesday, the 11th at 7 a.m. Jake delivered some comments on the update of how our Public Works building process was going, some preliminary drawings and things we're looking at. So, moving forward, just a little slower than we'd hoped, but that's okay. We had John from Blackhawk Waste here to answer some questions on the garbage cans and recycling cans. We had some concerns at our last meeting about downsizing the size of the recycling bins for some of the elder people. That is an option. We're going to offer that out in the next billing. There's a written request that the citizens are going to have to fill out to do that. Along with that written consent, we also have an option to add a garbage can if they need a secondary can. We came to the conclusion that we would bill $7 extra for that can, $14 a month for 2 cans. We spoke about some alley work between 3rd and 2nd Street. We've got some trouble with runoff of drainage water, so we're going to go in, build that base back up, try to get the drain and control the water coming out. We've got a high case scenario of $8,500 to do that. So, K2 Tree Service contacted us about having a brush dump. He had some citizens talk to him about chips, things that they would like to see. At this point, we tabled that. We're not moving forward at the current time on a brush dump. We've got some sewer adjustments that we're going to be making tonight for filling pools and watering the lawns. We got an update on the water tower. They're still working interior on it. They've not started working exterior yet, so hopefully in the next week or 2 you'll see some progress on the outside. And we adjourn.
Any questions for Jeff?
Garbage cans.
Oh, you love that one, don't you?
I don't. They are huge. I put my recycling out for the first time last week, and it is bigger than you think it is when you're trying to wheel it out there. But okay, so people can go down a size with a written request. They will still take the old blue canisters if we put them out on a recycling day. Can we put that in the notice or something to the people too, so that they get rid of those?
Yeah.
They will take
The-
recycling in them?
No.
No.
They
Okay,
will
that's
take
No,
that.
no,
No.
they'll take the bin
Okay.
if you, yeah.
Right, if you don't
I
want
just wanna make sure I'm clear.
If you don't want to keep your bin, you can put that out and they'll take it with you.
Just the blue one.
Yeah, just the
old
blue.
blue one. So people could have 2 garbage cans if they want, and they could put both of them out and fill them, but they will get charged an extra $7.
Every week.
But
Every month.
Sorry.
is there, I know at one time we had talked about that there were tags that potentially could be purchased for just an extra bag.
Still have that.
So they have the option of doing one every month, or they can just come as needed and buy an extra sticker for an extra bag.
Correct.
Perfect,
Yep.
okay. I just wanted to clarify that still to make sure that
In
was
the
still.
past, they probably did not look real closely for the tags, but now I think they would probably look very closely.
Yeah.
I would guess that they will
They
as
do.
well, if they're gonna get more money from it, if they're not,
Yeah.
so.
The driver's gonna have to get out of the truck and physically load that sack. So if there isn't a tag on that sack, you get to keep your bag.
Right,
Yeah, they're not gonna pick that up.
right, which, and that's how they do it in a lot of other places I know too, but, okay. I just wanted to clarify that that's still an option too, so, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing regarding an annexation application request by, is it Rusty Doss of Oberlin Engineering LLC on behalf of the Dollar General store. First, I'll go ahead and read the written one I've gotten from Donna DeVillo. I think everybody should have a copy of it. To whom it concerns, we've heard about Dollar General wanting to build a store in or just outside of Hudson and wanted to express our concerns. While we were all for Hudson growing, we feel Dollar General is not the sort of business we need here. We have Randall's Grocery for all grocery needs, as well as many other things, laundry, cleaning items, pet supplies. Residents Danielle and Dan DeVries have just opened the Mercantile and Merch Madness stores in Hudson. They sell many of the same or similar items that Dollar General or DG would carry and more. We feel we need to support the local businesses and not a big corporation like DG. In many towns where DG has been built, they try to run out the smaller family-owned businesses, and in many places have succeeded. I spoke to the owner of McElroy's Grocery, which owns stores in Strawberry Point as well as Winthrop. He said his sales are down 400,000 to 600,000 yearly since the DG has gone in there. I spoke to someone who has talked to the Rhinebeck store owners, and they lost sales as well after the DG went in there. Randall's does a lot for the town and residents. I don't want to see them lose sales to a larger corporate business that will not care about the town. Also, most of the DG stores I've been in are cluttered and usually quite dirty, not to mention they never have enough staff. This is not an impression we want to have for Hudson. Signed by the DeVillos. Any other written ones? I think, Danielle, you turned one in. I did not print it off. We'll let you read it when we come to the oral. Any other written ones?
I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Any other written?
No.
Oral. Who all wants to speak?
Who wants to speak first?
Just
You
let
guys
us
go first,
know
Dennis?
who you are, where you're at, where you live. Dennis.
Been in town for 38 years, and we generate about $72,000 a year in sales tax. And I feel that the Dollar General is a real threat. They typically take 10 to 15% of the business. Between the DeVries and myself, basically just about everything is covered that they're going to be bringing in. They'll probably bring in some additional clothing items and stuff of that nature, but it's not a need. That will not be, in my opinion, a destination point. Again, grocery business is not a big profit business, and 10 to 15%, if that would happen, could be very crucial, very crucial. I have tried to sell the business for 5 years and can't do it. It's not something, not many people want to handle that much work, that little profit. And it's a big decision, I think, for the city. And when they pull those votes, yes or no, I think they'll have a lot of ripple effects. And, time will tell. It's a big decision. And, I did talk to the Blackhawk County Supervisor, Craig White, and he knew nothing about it, but I don't know if there's a communication gap, but it doesn't sound like it's a pat deal. If the city rejects it, doesn't necessarily mean that the county's going to go for it. So yeah, it's a big decision. Thank you.
I go, okay.
Yep.
And
You don't have to read your thing if you don't want to.
I'll read it.
Okay.
I'd love to.
Are you really-
I'm really proud of it.
Or you can
I
say
never
whatever
get to
you
write
want.
long things anymore. Usually I just send short emails.
Oh, your battery's
What a jump in the faith.
Yeah, no. Thanks. Maybe. So I'm Danielle DeVries, and this is my husband, Daniel DeVries. I'm actually coming more as a resident than a business owner, because actually, you know, the whole discount store is a great thing. Of course, that's what we modeled our business after. However, as a resident, I'm more struggling with the idea of the Dollar General. And in fact, we have the option even to purchase a lot of the Dollar General liquidations, so we could easily compete with Dollar General if we had to, and actually undercut their prices by probably about 75%. So I mean, it's not like a huge deal, the discount store thing, because of what we do. But I'm writing more as more of a resident, longtime resident now, but I'm writing concern for the possible annexation of land for the construction of a Dollar General on the south border of Hudson. I moved to Hudson in 2008 because of the small town allure it provided. I wanted my children to be raised in a town that encompassed a sense of community and a set of values that align with my family's. I moved from Memphis, Tennessee, an area that is full of urban sprawl. The sprawl brought with it problems that go along with it, crime and lowered residential property values. I believe dollar stores can also create a sense of poverty or perception of low income in an otherwise prospering area. It creates in quotes, it creates an overall sense of the neighborhood being run down, according to Stacy Mitchell, who's the co-director of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, which is the national organization that looks to preserve small town way of life and local small business. And this was stated in a Washington Post article that she was quoted in. And she also says, it's a recipe for locking in poverty rather than alleviating it. The case has also been made that Dollar Generals are needed for a food desert area, which we obviously are not. We have the option to have trips into Waterloo, Cedar Falls that are less than an 8-minute drive, as well as our amazing grocery store Rainbows. So we have several options that are very close by. When Dollar Generals and other dollar stores enter communities across the board, small town groceries will suffer 30% loss of profit or complete closure, just ask Story City and Ackley about their recent store closures. Our local grocery store and businesses donate money and products to sports teams, splash pads, scoreboards, school events, and any other asset is made. And I don't believe Dollar General, I've never seen them sponsor one event or anything ever. These local businesses know what small towns mean. Big businesses only have concerns for profit and shareholder perception. I know, I work for one. You know, and beyond shuttering small businesses, what type of impact does this have on our farmland and our infrastructure as well? So Seth Heiberger, the Black Hawk County zoning administrator, stated an email actually to Donna DeVillo that Dollar General would be better off annexing into the city because Black Hawk County does not have infrastructure at that location, and it would be difficult for them to get that. In addition, the land most likely is considered prime farm ground as well, which would make it less likely for a rezone to be approved by Black Hawk County. Even though this land has been sold to Dollar General, the city has the option to not annex, and I believe the county will also make the same sound decision. However, if we do believe we need to annex, I propose the City of Hudson annex the area of land in question and impose a commercial moratorium on the southern portion of Hudson to prevent the building of a non-necessary business. We can use Wabasso, Minnesota as an example of this. Earlier this year, they were faced with the same situation as our city. However, their city leaders were able to implement the moratorium and save their local businesses from a parasitic large company. And I'm just asking you to consider these points, to not annex this land, because our town's already great, and I don't think we need to change it.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep, thanks.
Sue, did you have anything you want to talk to? You're just taking notes.
Yeah, just taking notes. Read about it this week.
Any other verbal comments? Verbal comments. I'll close the public hearing. Okay, discussion action to approve resolution 2816, a resolution approving the voluntary annexation. First, did any of you have any questions of anybody in attendance? Now, I would accept any of three motions. I'd accept a motion to approve. I would accept a motion to deny. I would accept a motion to table as long as the motion to table express why.
Why is it, I was gonna say, you're looking at me, huh?
Well, I was gonna see if you said anything.
I was gonna see if you said anything first.
If- We gotta have a motion to discuss, right?
No, we can have discussion.
No, we
Okay.
didn't have
We have
discussion.
discussion.
I'd like to know the county's feelings.
That was gonna be my motion, that we table this until we get a more definitive answer from them.
Is the only thing I've seen out of, had through correspondence or communication, anything I've seen, is that they basically referred, that they did not accept or deny, they said, you know, you should go see Hudson, because we are close, we would be able to provide the service. But I did not see a outright denial. because I don't think they got the formal application, because what they would have to have is a formal application for a building permit. That would be the trigger for that scenario. From the standpoint of, from a practical standpoint, for the ability to provide services, they would not have to be annexed into the city of Hudson if our ordinances allow that you can be adjoining the city
And still have our
and you can
services.
still have our services, provided they would pay for any service to get there. Such as in this case, they've given preliminary indication about putting in there, it'd be 704 feet of water pipe they would have to pay to install if they were to be annexed and if we were to get the building permit. Does it allow us the ability, if the annexation was denied and the county approved a building permit, it would not require us to approve letting them connect to our services? I think that would still be under our control if that were to occur. If that were to occur and the county allowed it, they'd simply be in a scenario of needing to put in a well to get water services or contracting with somebody adjoining them to get the water. Because they're already of such size at 3+ acres that they could put in a septic system, and that's what they indicated to us was going to be their sewer connectivity.
So my initial question, and I don't know if you would know this or not. If we wait to see if the county, if it's gonna be built anyway, if the county was gonna approve it, it's gonna be built anyway, it's gonna happen. And we don't annex it, it's sitting out there, it's still built, it's still where it's gonna be at, and we get not one dime from their tax money, right?
Correct.
We would,
Correct.
city would not, the school and county would still
The
get
school
their
and county would, but the
portion
city
share,
would not.
and the school.
If the city denies it and we deny it and they can't build, then it's not there. But what are the chances, or if we say we wanna wait to see if the city is gonna allow, or if the county's gonna allow it? If the county allows it, we're stupid not to annex it in, but are we going to be able to annex it in that point if the county allows, or gives them the building
I
permit?
would think that if they
We're
were
not
to,
the ones that submit the application, the landowner does.
Right, but what I'm
So-
saying is if they get it approved,
Well, what I'm struggling with
they bought the
is-
land already, correct?
As far as I can tell,
What I'm
yes.
struggling with is that the county doesn't have an obligation to grant a building permit until somebody says affirmatively, we want to build out in the county and we've exhausted our other options. They already did that. They already went to the county,
They did
right?
not file a formal application, it was a verbal contact
It
with
was
the
a
county.
conversation. So
Conversation only, no formal
there's
application.
nothing that requires these landowners to go back to the county and go, we're officially gonna apply for our building permit now. We can't force them to do that. So you guys could table this and they could say, well, that's all fine and dandy, but we're not gonna go do that. We just wanna know whether or not you're bringing us in or not. And we have to answer their question. We can't just table it indefinitely.
Right.
The application has been submitted. We have a duty to answer it one way or the other.
Also, my feeling for tabling is I'd like to see the other two council people weigh in on this.
I definitely wanna see that, but.
I
That
don't
gives you a
want that.
definitive time frame where you're, I'm not saying you can ask Dollar General to see if they're willing to submit and apply for a building permit to the county. What are you hoping to?
No, I'm, in my head, I'm thinking,
You're correct, if they ultimately go to the county, if I was them and I was the owner of Dollar General, I'm not coming back into the city. Why would I do that?
that's what I'm asking,
You just told me you didn't want me.
right?
So why would I give you the property tax revenue and apply to be annexed in again? I gave you that opportunity and you turned me away.
Right, that's what I'm asking about, if we say no,
If
and
you
they
skip
go to the
it,
county and they get the
and they
building
get
permit
it,
from the county,
you're not getting another application for annexation.
we're not gonna get another application for
Yeah.
annexation.
Yeah.
And we can't annex without the application, correct? We
Correct.
cannot, I don't wanna say.
You could involuntarily force the annexation, but they're probably gonna be successful on that too, because you got proof that you turned it down before.
Right, and now we just want the money.
Right. That's not a good reason to force an involuntary annexation.
Oh, this is hard. Because if it's
It
out
is.
there,
It is hard.
I mean, if it's out there and it's not city, then we're still stuck, I don't wanna say we're stuck with it. It's there, there's nothing we can do about it.
Correct.
If the county does it. But there's no way for us to get a feeling if the county would do it or not.
Not unless you,
Poll all the county supervisors and say, what would you do?
They may
They're
not.
not gonna tell you.
no.
Chief Banks, if there's a Dollar General there and it's not in the city, if there was a call for service, would you respond?
It'll be a county call, but we'll most likely respond
Because of our shared agreements,
Yeah.
right?
They've got 2080 with them, right?
Yep.
So it's
So
not
you're
a
gonna
case of
end
being
up-
able to ignore it. from
Quite
that
frankly, your
perspective.
law enforcement is gonna end up supervising that building anyway, whether you like it or not. He's gonna get all the theft calls and he's gonna be there first. And that's what you get, is theft calls.
Yeah, I was there earlier, but.
Yeah.
It, speak from my spot,
Oh, but I don't know the answer to this. I've never looked. What are the county ordinances for building permits? Has anybody looked at that? Like, I have no idea whether or not they'd have grounds to deny them a building permit or not. Does anybody know the answer to that question?
I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that there was a Dollar General denied in the southeast corner of Waterloo on the premise, as I recall from anything I saw in writing, is that there was concern about its proximity to the new $100 million amusement park that was going in. I don't remember whether it was denied by Waterloo or whether it was denied by Blackhawk County.
There's Waterloo.
There's Waterloo.
So there is precedent from a standpoint of, but that
That's a city denial of building permit.
was a city denial
So
there.
my point is, I would assume the county has some sort of building permit ordinances, policies, procedures, guidance. At least if we knew the answer to that, I'd be able to say to you, I see nothing on its face that the county would deny this application.
Do you know, is Waterloo still doing the county permits and stuff? And
Yes.
so it would be, yes, that's correct. Okay.
I just pulled up planning and zoning for Blackhawk County.
Okay.
And does it say
Um,
building permits under there?
It says. It's a 28E agreement through Waterloo. The primary objectives of planning and zoning in Blackhawk County are to preserve the availability of agricultural land, consider the protection of soil and wind from and water erosion, encourage effective urban development patterns, lessen congestion on the street or highway, secure safety from fire, flood, panic, and other hazards, protect health and general welfare to provide adequate light and air, prevent the overcrowding of land, avoid undue concentration of population, facilitate the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewer, school, parks, and other public involvement. That's like their building permits.
So, I'm uncomfortable with a motion to table indefinitely to find out
Oh, yeah.
what the county would say. You can't do that. I'm comfortable with a motion to table until you have a full council, because it's an important enough issue that you think full council should evaluate. Secondary to that, it would give us the ability to investigate a little bit further whether or not the
Absolutely.
county's gonna grant a building permit automatically and you're losing an opportunity for property tax revenue.
And again, it would also allow us to.
You might not like the answer, okay, let's be clear.
Oh, right.
I could be back here in 2 to 4 weeks and go, I've looked at the building permit requirements for the county, and I see nothing on its face that would allow them the ability to deny a building permit for something like this.
Or vice versa,
It
saying.
might not be the
I have no
building
idea.
permit.
Or vice, right, or I could be saying I have no idea what.
It might not be the building permit, it might be the zoning request
Yeah, it could be that
that
too.
they would deny.
Correct,
Right.
right, could be that as well.
Now, on the other side of this, playing devil's advocate, is that land on our future land use map
Yes,
Yes.
Is it slated for,
future annexation, but
is
it's
it
the whole
slated
corner.
for,
It was anticipated more, I think, as a residential than it was a commercial.
So does it,
Any discussions I've been involved in.
so does it comport with the land use planning map?
All the land use plan says is
So
that
we're
it's,
gonna call
that
it-
it's future annexation, but there was no indication
It's not
of what
saying whether
exactly
it's
that
commercial or
development's.
residential
Yeah.
or anything.
No, it wasn't specific.
That's all the purple in the lower right-hand corner there, which is a significant amount of area. Yeah, one of the other comments that has come up is, we hate to lose the property taxes off it, but that tabling would allow us also to do is come up with what is the estimated taxable value of that property if it's built, and truly know the numbers that somebody's concerned about. I am not greedy to be concerned about the property tax coming in. I could,
I mean, we have
essentially, I could
growth.
really care less about it relative to what else we have going on with it in support of the local. But I would at least want to know that number so that we understand it.
You said it's which area way south?
All the purple,
It's the purple.
So that's all,
all
that's
that
all
surrounds the
available,
southern, yeah.
that's all available for future development.
Yes.
If the landowners decide to go to that extent.
And that's all county right now.
Correct.
Yep.
Do we know, is that all owned by one, the same person?
Yes.
Not
Not
all the purple.
Not all,
no,
but
no.
the-
It ends like here. I got it.
But the one that, the portion, the 3 acres that was purchased,
That was on the Loman property, abutting wrestlers.
Yeah, they're across.
is it on the
Right over here somewhere.
west side or the east side of 63?
East
Be
side
on
of
the east.
63, so what it would be, you know where South Hudson Road comes down, and it's now
Yeah.
T intersection?
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
50
Be going straight across there.
right across.
Now, the other part of that, well,
So all of that could end up being residential development.
Sure,
or anything.
or anything.
And we'd have to zone it for an
Yeah.
annexation, we're gonna have to zone it commercial.
Do we have to if we annex it in today?
If we allow them,
If we annex it, it's automatically A1, it's automatically agricultural. When it comes in, they can apply to have it rezoned
Commercial.
to commercial,
Or planned unit development.
or, yeah.
Or we could zone it residential.
I would not want you to grant an annexation
No.
and then decide to zone it something different than
Yeah.
what their intended use of the land is.
Why?
I would agree.
Because that's a bait and switch.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
I would have a problem with judicial scrutiny on that.
okay. Just needed to ask why.
Yeah, you would have allowed an annexation for an intended purpose like they indicated in the paperwork, and then you would have rezoned it such that they couldn't comply with their intended purpose.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you had a land use plan that indicated what you wanted that area to be, then that's a basis for a denial on an annexation because you have a plan in the future for what you want it to be.
Okay.
Now, in everyone's defense, you just don't have that plan yet.
Right.
I don't know how long it would take in order to come up with that, and a lot of that is, kind of visionary and forecasting, right? It'd be working with Intercog and going, if we were lucky enough to acquire all of this,
right,
what would be a good use of all of this land?
and it would also be more than 2 weeks before we'd have to be
And
paying
it
that
would also
too.
be, right,
Now, on the other side of this too,
now, I will say this, is anyone from Dollar General here tonight?
No.
I'm a believer in having a conversation about, how long are you willing to wait for us to investigate our options here on what long-term use of that land would be. I don't know what they're willing to do on their end. And I say that only because they don't want to be somebody that comes to town that's hated either,
right,
Right.
right? I mean, this is a difficult decision, which means there's gonna be people that are unhappy with it and people that are happy with it. It'd be nice if we could figure out a way, but I don't, everybody has different opinions on whether or not Dollar Generals cause reductions in grocery stores. I can't say I disagree with that comment, but I also have seen Dollar Generals all across the state of Iowa that have supplemented towns really effectively. It's not always the case.
Can we go back to landowner? I'm looking on Blackhawk County and it's the same owner for that whole area, for the annexation area.
The previous owner, not the Dollar General folks.
Correct,
correct,
yeah.
the same farm.
So they could be speculating. They could be trying for their annexation without having ownership of it yet. Because they don't wanna buy the land if they're not
Well,
gonna get annexed.
from the plat that I have seen, they've done the title work and they've done the abstract on it.
So your comment is the fact that everything around.
Yeah,
it is
so we were
owned by
talking about the
seller.
annexation area,
Oh.
for the future, that's all the same property owner.
Okay, but the actual proposed annexed territory is transferred ownership now.
Not yet, not according to the county assessor,
However, that website is so far behind,
It
and
is
they quit
quite
already
slow.
done.
yes.
It took mine 6 months, 8 months
Mhm.
before mine was done.
Did the annexation request, it came from, was there any signature of the loan and trust along with that? I was thinking I saw that with it.
I have a title commitment, I have,
I can't remember what all I looked
I have
at.
the warranty deeds, the title commitment, and the legal description,
Okay, here's another
as
question.
well as the surveyor certificate.
I thought so.
Here's another question. So we deny this at this point, and it just dies. You know, Dollar General doesn't purchase, whatever the case may be, nothing happens.
Okay.
In 5 years, there's another plan to come in and redevelop this land as residential. Do we have the ability to come back and annex it at that time with another use? If someone else were to come and apply?
Sure, anybody can apply for annexation at any
Anytime.
point, and the 100% voluntary annexations, which is what this one is, and the 100% voluntary annexation's not within an urbanized area, which again, that's what this one is, it's not within 2 miles of any other city, are relatively easy.
Okay.
So
So if-
and put what I thought you were gonna ask me is if we deny this, what are their remedies?
Okay, I'll ask you that question too. If you're gonna offer that question, I'll
I
ask that
shouldn't have
question.
offered that question because I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Now, I
Now,
don't know if your reason has to, an entity can always review a board's decision with a writ. So I know they have a remedy in district court, and I believe that their remedy would be to sue us.
that's what I'm asking part of that too.
Yeah, I think if we were to deny it and we didn't have an articulable reason for the denial,
Because
that's
I'm
the
sure-
standard I
so-
can't find. From my research today, the standard I can't find is what has to be our articulable reason that would withstand judicial scrutiny.
So let me throw out another premise. In the past, our annexations, Kurt Beaver's annexations, other ones, have been for a purpose that was defined. It was absolutely even laid out in preliminary plat scenarios
Maybe that
And-
is a good reason.
and matched up.
Maybe the reason is that we have not developed a long-term land use plan for that area, and as such are uncomfortable pigeonholing ourselves into a particular
That's
area right now.
exactly my thought, because that's 3.5 acres out of about 280, and as some of you recall, when we put in the lift station at the southeast corner of Upper Ridges